All right, so let's continue with our program. Now, one thing that you need to know is that if I create another variable, let me call it random value 2, I'll have 1 here and 2 here, and I do rand and I mod it by 21. Now I can say the random number, or say the first random number is this. I'll copy this, paste that, and here I do 1 and 2. So first I set the seed and I create 2 random numbers, and if I print the 2 random numbers here, you will see that there will be 2 different numbers. Most likely there will be 2 different numbers, although I haven't changed the seed. So this is okay, and you need to know that that's what happens in C. And then I'll show you something after that. Alright, so the 2 random numbers are 1 and 5. Now even if I comment this one, that's how you comment in C, I would still have 2 different numbers. So the sequence will stay the same every time I hit play, but it'll be, alright, so this time they happen to be random, the same random just by coincidence. If I do third, and if I say 3, and if I copy that, paste it, and I say 3, you will see that the 3 random numbers will be, they won't be the same. You can see 772, but if I hit play again, it'll be 772. So the sequence will be the same, but when you call rand the second time and third time, there will be different random numbers, okay? Or there is a chance that there will be different random numbers. So let me increase that to 31, show you that right now probably the 3 of them will be different. And if I uncomment that one, you can see that they're different. If I uncomment this one and I provide, say, another seed, say 12, then I'm gonna have a different sequence, but because 12 doesn't change, I'm gonna always get the same sequence every time I hit play. So the sequence right now, it'll be 29, 20, 19. I hit play again, it'll be 29, 20, 19. So I want to go back to time null. And right now what I want to do is I want to create a list, which is an array in C. It's called an array. And I want to do that here. I want it to be global. So here I can say int my global array, which contains 10 values. Okay, I don't want to specify the values here. What I want to do is I want to loop through my array, and I want to specify a random number between, say, 1 and 10 for each element of my array. So let me first loop through my array. I can use a for loop. So outside the for, let me do int I, and here I can say for I equals to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. Okay. And right now I want to say global array, and right now I want to do I, and I want this equal to a random value. So I can say rand, and because I want it between 1 and 10, then maybe I can mod it by 10, and that's going to give me values between 0 and 9. And if I add 1 to that, it'll be from 1 to 10. Okay, so that is going to give me something between 0 and 9. I add 1 to it, it'll end up between 1 and 10. And I want to comment all of that. That's how you do a block comment in C. And after that, I want to print my array to kind of see the random values. So I'm going to loop again. I'm going to say for I equals to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, and here. Now, one thing that you need to know is that I don't need those curly braces because I only have 1 line in my for, but I'll keep them. And I want to say printf \d or $$d \n comma global array I. Okay, so So here I'm simply assigning random values to my array, and here I'm accessing the array to print those values. Okay, and let me increase the size of that. Let me hit play and show you that I'll have 10 random values. Alright, so you can see I have 10 random values between 1 and 10. I don't have 10, but if I play again, I'll probably see 10. Alright, I don't have 10 yet. Okay, so I have 2 10s right now. So here I created an array and I have 10 random values between 1 and 10. So let's say I ask you to create 10 random values between 1 and 10, but I don't want you to repeat values. So here you can see we have 10 repeated, we have 9 repeated, we have 2 repeated, and let's say I don't want that. Now, one easy solution to do this would be to create a list containing values between 1 and 10. So I'm going to put 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, up to 10. Then I'm going to shuffle my list, and I'll end up with a list of random numbers between 1 and 10. Okay, so let me do that. Let me comment. Well, I'll keep that, and let me, instead of doing this, I'll comment that, and here I want to say I want it to be I plus 1. So the first value will be 0 plus 1, which will be 1, and the last value will be 9 plus 1, which is 10. Let me play that and show you what I'll have. Alright, so I have the values from 1 to 10 with no repetition, but as you can see, they're not randomized. So after I have this list, maybe I can shuffle my list and end up with a random list. Now to do that, I have to use a shuffling algorithm, and a very simple one that works really well would be to take the value at the first index and swap it with any of those values here. Okay, so let me see if I can demonstrate that in a Keynote. Alright, so let me demonstrate this shuffling algorithm, and then we'll write that in C. So I have the numbers between 1 and 10, and the idea is I want to swap the first one with any of those with a random value between, one of the random values here. So let's say I swap 1 with 6. That's the random value that I picked, the random index or the random element. That means this one's going to become 6 and this one's going to become 1. And right now I want to do the same thing for the second element. I want to pick a random element here, and let's say it happens to be this 8. I want to swap the 2 with the 8. So that's going to be 8 and that's going to be 2. And then this one, I'll do the same thing. So I'm going to pick a random value here, and let's say it happens to be this one, and I'm going to swap the 3 with the 6. So I end up with a 6 here and 3 here. And I do that for this one too. Let's say it happens to be the 1. I end up with a 4 here and 1 here. For the 5, let's say I swap it with the 8. So I end up with an 8 here and a 5 here. Right now this one needs to be swapped with another value, say the 6. So the 6 gets here, the 4 gets here. This one needs to swap with another value, say it's the 10. So 7 here, 10 here. And this one, say, swaps with this one. So I end up with a 6 here and 2 here, and this one swaps, say, with the 1. So I end up with a 1 here and 9 here, and this one swaps, say, with this one, with the 2. So I would have a 2 here and I would have a 7 here, and I would end up with a random list, a random array, but I don't have any repetition. Okay, so let's go back to C and try to do that. All right. So before I print the array, I'd like to do that swapping. And for me to do the swapping, I'd like to loop through the array. So I can do for I equals to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. And right now I want to swap the element at index 0, which is the first one, again we started with something that looks like this. Eight, 9, 10. So I want to swap this one with a random element here. So I'd like to generate a random number between 0 and 9, which will, you know, indicate the index that I want to swap the one with. And I can do that. So I can say rand index, and I do int, and I can say equals to rand, and I can mod it by 10. So if I mod it by 10, then it'll be between 0 and 9. Okay, and then I want to swap that index with 1. So I can do int temp equals to global array I. So store the value here, which in this case it's 1, into temp, and then use this random index. Let's say the random index was 5. That means this element will be stored here. So I'm taking this 6 and I'm placing it here essentially, and I do that by doing global array I is equal to global array, but use the rand index. So right now I have 6 here, and then I want to replace this value with the temp, which is 1. So I can say global array rand index equals to temp. So I do that, you know, for all the elements, because this loop is going to go from 0 to 9. And right now if I print the array, you will see that you won't see this array anymore. You'll see a shuffled array. Alright, so that's the shuffled array, and this shuffled array does not contain any duplicates. And this 10 happens to be at the end just randomly. If I hit play again, we won't see the 10 at the end. Okay, so this is the random list. And right now, I want to do all of that, but in MIPS. In the next video, we'll do all of that, but in MIPS. Okay. So I'll see you in the next video.